my name's Melissa. I've been working with Sam. Sam also came into this knowing exactly what she wanted to do. And she's really a natural engineer, so she's able to think through problems really fast, go home and do troubleshooting, and she did a ton of work that I don't even think I ever necessarily saw, because she's just like doing cool tinkering at home, getting things to work, which is awesome, actually. So part of like working on the presentation is trying to work on like tell us what you did and how, because it reminds me of me a little bit. I do it and then I don't. It works. It's cool. Yeah. But Sam works really hard. So she's going to teach us some about her vision. And there was both a mechanical and a computer science component to her project. Great. Time for Sam.
So my name is Sam, and I'm in 7th grade at Castilleja. Okay, there's a lot of buttons on here. It's kind of confusing. Oh, the photo that didn't show up, but there was a photo. So my mentor, her name was Melissa Myers, and she works at Talus, which I thought it was like Theranos, but it worked, but it's not actually. It does rapid bacterial testing. So test bodily fluids that normally took like days or hours can now take minutes when it works. Maybe it works. So kind of like Theranos, and but it works. She does software firmware testing, which is basically like she's an engineer that tests the software and the firmware. It's pretty self-explanatory. So she's from Florida, and she likes to do triathlons and code in her free time. And there was a picture here, but she's right over there if you need. So my project was this. So I'm really interested in space and also engineering. So I decided if I put those two together, I would make a space robot, or like a model of a Mars rover. For those of you that don't know, that's basically it's a little car thingamabob that goes to Mars to learn about, because there's no, as far as we know, there's never been any humans on Mars. So we need to send up electrical thingies to learn about the environment and what's going on up there. So this is a Mars rover. It could not actually survive on Mars. There's lots of things that we need to do, and it can't fly, so wouldn't be able to make it there, but it is a model of something that might end up on Mars one day. There are actually things on Mars. It's a model of something that might be on Mars. I can read this. So I nicknamed it Wally II because it's kind of looks like Wally, kind of. So my goal for this project was to create a robot capable of exploring unknown territories and just basically using whatever sensors it has to find information and send it back to Earth, so we can know like whether it's safe to send humans up there, or like is there water, is there other life, are there aliens coming to attack us? We really don't know. So this should tell us. Topics and technologies learned. I learned how to code in Python. We use Python 3 to code this, and circuitry and engineering, because I had to build this using this is a Raspberry Pi. That's the main computing board. So this robot currently has the ability to move without bumping into things most of the time. It's like 95% accurate. And it can use the camera, not this one, it can use the camera when you're using the app that came with this robot. But we did find a way to code into another camera that's kind of complicated. Basically, this Raspberry Pi board does not have the libraries that you need to be able to code into it and get a direct stream from this camera to your computer. I realize I'm talking fast right now, so I'm going to try to slow down. But we were able to do that on different cameras, so I could like switch them out. Theoretically speaking, it'd just be a lot of work. In the future, one thing that I think would be cool was using the Raspberry Pi to analyze the images. So like, let's say we took a picture and it could tell if there was like blue or whatever color water is on Mars. It could be able to like look for water and things like that. So, my magical experience. Some highlights were finishing building the robot because it took a really long time to build. There's a lot of different pieces going on in here. And also when the robot worked for the first time, because it crashed into a lot of walls before it finally like backed away from one. Lessons learned. Kits don't always work right away. You actually have to put them together and then code and then like, do a lot of things to make them work. Because we actually got this robot from a kit, but then we had to put it together. And then we didn't use the code that they had, we recoded the whole thing. set reasonable expectations. I had like a bunch of crazy ideas for this robot. We did not get to very many of them because they were a lot harder than I realized. And I also learned how to troubleshoot code because we had a lot of trouble that needed to be fixed. Challenges were getting the robot to take pictures. As I said, this Raspberry Pi does not have the library. It doesn't exactly, or maybe it's the camera. Something in there isn't working very well. It doesn't have the libraries that we needed in order to code it. Specifically, it did not have the Pi camera library. But we were able to do that on a different Raspberry Pi with a different camera module. And the sensors don't see angles. So this is an ultrasonic sound sensor right here. And it senses distance. So basically, one of the eyes sends out little sound waves that we can't hear, and it bounces off a wall, and it comes back to the other eye. And they're both doing this, so they're both receiving signals. But when it comes at an angle like this, either the sound bounces off a wall and goes in a different direction, so it never receives it, or they're getting different answers, so it can't really tell how far the wall is. So if it's coming at a wall straight on, it's good. It backs away and turns. It's coming at a wall at an angle, not so much. This is pictures of my code. There was a lot of coding that went into this robot, and like I said, it was coded in Python idle 3, but this is just some pictures of my code. So over there, that's how I was importing certain things from libraries just to make my life easier, and setting the GPIO pins for these motors. Over here is like the main code. Everything else was defining stuff, but this was the main code, just basically like, look at the distance, and then if it's greater than 50, look at the distance you are away from something. If it's greater than 50, you can keep going forward, but if it's less than 50, you've got to go backwards and turn. And now stop history.